and welcome back to Building with the Boys. We are now on 26 of Hachette's Building Titanic. Again, we are moving away. So over the next 7 issues, we are working exclusively on engine and engine room, at least. I don't know what comes after the next 7, but this is the start of a fairly long old poke on engine room. So we are starting with the floor of the engine room. It's quite a big piece. There's not a load to do in this, but it looks kind of fiddly. It is going to involve some gluing, but that's fine. That's fine. We'll see how this goes. Because this is kind of what I thought was going to happen. I always thought we were going to build this separately. I never thought we were going to build this as part of the ship and then add engines to it. I kind of thought we're going to build a room, almost like a diorama, that slots in. And I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to do. I'm expecting to see walls for this thing, and we're going to have a separate unit, and it's going to slot into the ship, and then we're going to screw it in. I think that's where we're going with this. Anyway, we'll have a look. If you haven't yet, please give us a like. Hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying the Titanic. If you're one of the thousands that are watching us but haven't subscribed yet, your subscription would be very much appreciated. It costs you nothing, it helps us massively. At the end of this one, we are going back to the movies, and we are watching Titanic II. Yeah, Titanic II. Not the sequel to the 1997 Titanic. But that's what they wanted you to think. But we'll talk about that when we get to it. Anyway, let's crack on with the build first. Let's do the important bit, and we'll talk all about weird movies at the end. Okay, so here's the parts we get inside 26. Now, they do give you a fairly, I've got to be blunt, naff looking pair of tweezers. I won't be using these, I'll be using my own. If they work for you, they work for you. They're never going to work for me. I've got this very large section, which is going to be the engine room floor. We've got the thrust block over here. We have some details for the thrust block. So the first thing we're going to do, let's zoom on this. We're going to put this thrust block together. Now this is just a push to fit, because ultimately when this goes into the floor, it's not going to go anywhere. So it's not going to come apart. So we just push to fit this one. It's very nice, it's very detailed, but we're going to add more detail into that. So this is as simple as push to fit. Just line that up. There we go. Easy enough. Now, this is where the fun starts, because my ancient eyes are not going to enjoy this. We've got to put these little details. I don't want to bend this bag because these things look so fragile. So let's take that out. So these are our little pipes here. Now we've got 2 of each. I'm using a very, very, very tiny amount of super glue. We are going to super glue one of the curved pieces to this piece. So I'm going to get that done off camera, because as I said, my ancient eyes, I'm never going to be able to see that without holding this directly in front of my face. So I'm going to get one of those done and we'll take a look at it. Okay, so these are together now. Obviously that's the shape you're going for. Actually, one that looks like that, one that looks like that. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to attach these to the thrust block. So again, I'll see how this is going to work out. I'm hoping I can do this on camera for you. Now I'm mad zoomed in here, so this looks a lot larger than it is, but believe me, this is absolutely microscopic. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly how this is ever going to work. Let me grab some decent tweezers to do this. Okay, let's see if we can do this. So what we're doing here is having our thrust block run this way. We are looking to put in part there and come up and going in. No, we're not. Okay, so going in here and here. So let's see if this works. We're going to use this one to do that. Fun and games. Okay, this ain't playing ball already. No. Okay, we need to have another look at this. It was just me being an absolute goon and putting it into the wrong hole, so it goes into the one at the front of these two, and then like that. So that's exactly how we go here. So now I've got to flip it around and do the same thing again on the other side. So let's see if we can do this one on film. So this is the hole we are going in for the bottom part. This is not one for those who've got not great eyesight. Trust me, I'm wearing the biggest magnifying glasses you could imagine at the moment, or as my wife calls them, the woman repellers. Because yeah, honestly, fellas, you're not going to impress the ladies in ginormous magnifying glasses. Right. I'd say there's nothing like a scale model to make you feel ancient. I'm trying to line up these tiny little holes. Get in there. And there we have it. There we have it. There we have our details on. And in. Phew! Okay, we've got one little piece left to go. So we have a tiny little, what even is that? We have an elbow pipe. This thing is microscopic. It's over here. There should be a hole on the other side where this fits. Yep. So we're going to see if this goes. Christ, this is little. That's going to go in there. Oh, that fight it ain't. Fellas, this is what I've got to do off camera because I can't see it. So let me get that done. Okay, so we got it. That's that elbow joint on there. Now there is a lug, so it'll only go in one way. So that is the way it goes. So that is done. Now what we're going to do is we'll zoom out. You'll see just how small I've been working with there. This is going to sit into our engine block over here. And a good way of knowing it is your elbow pipe there is going to sit on the outside. So that's how you know which way around this goes. So that's going to go there like that. Zoom in a little bit more for you. There you go. So that's going to go on there. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this in place using two of the EP screws. So hopefully we don't pull all the details off as I'm trying to do this. But let's get this flipped over and let's get these screws placed in. Right, okay. Let's get one in first. Just to hold it. There we go. There's one. And one more. And then we are done. Now, I can show you something, and I will show you something, because what we're doing in the next one is we're building a second reciprocating engine. Now they've done that thing that a lot of people hate, where we got all of the parts for the first reciprocating engine, pretty much all the parts, in issue 3. In this one they've managed to spread that out over 3 issues, which feels a little bit greasy, it feels a little bit sleazy, but those would have been test issues. That's why that happened, but it is what it is. So it's going to be a bit slow progress making the second engine. So that's in place. So that's where the thrust block's going to go in the engine. Now what I can show you is if I get reciprocating engine number 1, this is going to fit in here like, he says. Where am I going, my old eyes? Why can't I see what I'm doing? There we go. Just being a goon. That's interesting. So how does that fit in there? Because that ain't happening. Interesting, right, I need to take a look at that. Go. It does fit on there, it's just me being a clown. It is an incredibly snug fit, and I question how well that's going to turn if it's pinned against an engine block, because it doesn't seem to be turning that well at all. So this is going to be interesting. See how all this works, because that has got no give. That's really snug. So that's going to be interesting to see, but I'm not panicking about it now. We'll see when we get to that point. Now, the more eagle-eyed amongst you will have noticed I do have a second reciprocating engine. It's not completely fit. I don't have a waterway or a gangway, but that's how you're going to be looking. So this is what we're going to be looking at. Kind of get you an idea. That is a concern, because I don't know if that's going to turn or not. I don't know. Just have to wait and see. I'm probably just panicking about nothing, but I can see that being an issue later on. Tip for 26. It's okay. I mean, there's not a lot to do in it, and that is kind of the theme of this month, unfortunately. It's fiddly more than anything. It's fiddly. That is snug as well. When you put that reciprocating engine in against the thrust block, that is snug. I can't turn that thing now. This is even need a bloody powerful motor to turn those, because I'd imagine a bar is going to go through the thrust block into that and then turn it, so it might be fine. Am I concerned about it? No, and neither should you be. So, don't panic about it. We don't know what the plan is for this yet. Worst case scenario, we file it down. It moves perfectly. That's all it would be. It would literally be a case of filing down a bit of that thrust block and just widen that's it. It wouldn't, there's no concern. That would be absolutely fine. But at the moment, it just seems really snug, really, really snug to get that in. And you'll see for yourself when you get to this stage. It doesn't actually fit the engine at this point. This is me just jumping ahead. So for all I know, it might be a different engine that sits in that slot. I don't think it is, though. I think based on kind of the base of the walkway and the pins, I think that's exactly where that one goes. But I'm not concerned. Honestly, I'm just not. It's not something to worry about, because, as I said, in the very unlikely event that's an error with it, they'd fix it, and if they didn't fix it, we could fix that quite easily. It's literally just widen the whole of the thrust block and it'd be fine. So we'll see when we get to it. But that's it for this one. So if you are just sticking above the build instructions, thank you for stopping by. Please remember to like. If you're one of the thousands that have been watching this but haven't subscribed yet, please do. Please subscribe. It helps us massively. And we just love having you here. We do genuinely enjoy hearing from all of you. We try to get back to as many of you as possible. There are no stupid questions, man. There's none at all. So if you've got any questions, please ask. You can pop it in the comments, or you can contact me at buildwhentheboys@outlook.com, and we're happy to help where we are. We're always very eager to see your builds as well. So if you're working on any mods or improvements or whatever it is, send them in, man. Send us the pictures over to buildwhentheboys@outlook.com. If you're happy with me to show them and share them on the channel, I will. I can show people what you're up to. Those of you sticking around for our Titanic talk, we are going to the movies. And we watched Titanic II. Jesus Christ. Right, so this is Titanic II. Yeah, so that's Titanic II. Now, okay, so this is what's known as a mockbuster. Now, so for those of you not familiar with what a mockbuster is, it is there's a company called Asylum that were particularly big on mockbusters, and what they did was they would make a film very similar to something that had just been released. So they would see what Hollywood released, and they would release a movie around about the same time that's kind of sounded like it. They would use a very similar font in the marketing. An example of this is when Transformers came out, they released a movie called Transmorphers. And the cover art of the DVD looks very similar to Transformers. The font of Transmorphers looks almost identical to Transformers font, because they want to trick you into watching it. And they do this quite a lot. So you get a lot of these. Transmorphers is one example. Ex-Terminators is one of them. So you'd think it was a Terminator movie. When Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, the big Hollywood movie, came out, they just released Hansel and Gretel because it's public domain. So people were buying it thinking they were getting the other one. They weren't. They were getting this. And it's a way of tricking you in. They do a lot of Thor movies at the moment because Thor is a god. Marvel can't license Thor. So you can make a movie called, Thor versus Loki. You don't need Marvel's permission to do it, and that's kind of what a mockbuster is. So Titanic II was made so people would think it was a sequel to Titanic. But then, if challenged on that, they can get away with it, because the actual story of Titanic II is about that. It's about a boat called the Titanic II. That they've remade a ship. They've remade the Titanic. and it's going to take the same journey, and it's going to make that maiden voyage that it didn't make before. And that's the idea. That's the gist of this. It's terrible. it's really bad. But I'll give it this. It swings for the fences, right? So it kind of goes for it. I think it does attempt to be entertaining, and I'll give this. I can't take anything away from the cast, because the cast in this are better than this movie. They shouldn't be in this movie. So it was a job, I'm sure. Not all of them. Some of them bloody terrible. But the put it this way, I don't think any of them were I don't think any of them champion that this is on their CV. They're like, oh yeah, I was in Titanic too. Everyone kind of seems to be embarrassed to be in it. I'll tell you what, to prove how embarrassed people are to be in this movie, if you look at the cover, even the funnel looks embarrassed to be in this movie, and this is what I mean. But even your funnel's going, it's a terrible movie. So the inevitable happens. Of course it does. So the Titanic is gonna sink in Titanic II. Oh Jesus! Right. So I've got nothing to say about this movie. It's ridiculous, right? But what I will say is, did I enjoy it? Yeah, I'm embarrassed to say it, but yeah, I kind of enjoyed it. It's terrible, but it was entertaining terrible. I've got to be honest. It's because I think I was kind of hate watching it. I think I'm like thinking, God, this is bad. And you're watching it to see how much worse it can get. You're like, how bad can these effects get? How cheap can they go with this? And I mean, there were scenes in it that there's a scene in a stairwell, and I'm looking at it going, that's a building. These are clearly concrete steps inside a ship, and I'm like, this has clearly been filmed in a fire escape somewhere. You know, it's like some office builder's fire escape that they've got, just put a red light on, no one will notice. It's that kind of level of bad that it's just I don't know. So it has none of the grandeur of Titanic. It's not a good movie. It really isn't. So where would it rank? Well, close to the bottom, obviously. It's one from the bottom. So if we look at our list so far, number one, the daddy of the Titanic movies, is A Night to Remember. Number two is 1997 Titanic. Number three is Titanic, the miniseries. Number four now goes to Titanic 2. It won't stay in the number 4 spot for long. And behind that is still the very worst, and that is the animated feature, Titanic, The Legend Continues. Titanic 2 is available. You can get it for about £1. It's not expensive. But it's worth the time. Do you know what, right? If there's nothing else on, give it a go. Now, I can't believe I'm saying this now either. Right, so next month is October. So, because it's Halloween month, I thought we'd go spooky with next month's Titanic movie. And I saw a film called Titanic 666. And I thought, okay, that looks incredibly bad taste. And it's a horror movie set aboard what I thought was the Titanic. But then after researching it, I actually found out Titanic 666 is a direct sequel to Titanic 2, where they've built a third Titanic, because it went so well the first two times. Why not build a third one? But then ghosts appear on this one. I believe it's Nazi ghosts aboard the Titanic. Wow! So if you want to join me for that one next month, we'll be watching Titanic 666. And we'll be reviewing it. If you've enjoyed that, please give us a like. And if you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button. If you're one of the thousands that have been watching us but haven't subscribed yet, we'd really appreciate your help. So hit the subscribe button. It costs you nothing, helps us massively, and is very much appreciated. And you know what? We just like having you here. You can contact us at buildingtheboys@outlook.com if you have any questions or queries. We are happy to help. If you just want to show your builds off, if you've got mods you're doing and things like that, happy to see. And if you're happy for me to show them on the channel, please let me know, and we can show them on the channel as well to see what other people are doing with their models. That's it. In a world where you can be anything at all, just be nice, and we will catch you very shortly for issue 27.